Misty, Mike, and Steve. So Pete, it's yours.
Well, I'm stranger with that, Steve.
Yeah, great.
So I'd like to start by, oh, that's hot. I would like to start by thanking everyone for attending tonight. The fact that you're here demonstrates your commitment and your dedication to the city of Westport. I'd also like to thank the Friends of the Library, the Economic Development Committee, Beautification Committee for putting this going on tonight. I am Heath Cottle. I'm married. I have 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter. Their ages range from 18 to 11 years old. My wife, Leslie, worked at the Westport Schools as a school nurse for 10 years before going back to her previous career as a labor and delivery nurse. I just recently turned 40 years old. And so I've lived in Westport most of that time. My parents moved us to Prairie Grove my sophomore year of high school. Shortly after graduating, I moved back. Interestingly enough, my grandfather actually owned this piece of property where the community center sits today. The Cottles have a long history in Westport. There's a few older faces out there. Some of you can probably remember shopping in White's Auto or Jim's Grocery, but not many of us, right? So I've been here a long time. And I say that to tell you that Westport is home to me. I've served on the Planning Commission and the City Council in the past. The reason I'm running for mayor is very simple. I believe that the city of Westport and by proxy the school district are suffering from economic stagnation. Now we only need to look a few miles south to Winslow to see the very real effects of continued economic stagnation in a community. So while I respect the other 3 candidates running for mayor, I believe it is I who have the vision, leadership skills, and unique experience of Westport on a path to economic sustainability for the future. That being said, I'm asking for your vote in the coming election, and more so, I'm asking for your dedication and commitment to the city as we move forward.
Thank you. And Misty, you'll be next.
Okay. I would like to start off by thanking the Friends of the Library and the Economic and Beautification Committee for putting on the trouble of putting on this event. This gives the voters a great opportunity to meet with the candidates and get answers to any questions that they might have. For everyone who doesn't know me, I'm Misty Cottle. I have lived here in Westport for 17 years. I have 2 perfect children, Teddy, who's back in the back. He started at kindergarten at West Fork and he graduated in May at West Fork, and he is now attending the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville on an academic scholarship. My daughter Samantha is right back there, and she is in 2nd grade, and she plays softball and soccer and basketball, and she helps in many of the volunteer organizations. I am running for mayor because I have a passion for this city. I left my job in retail management to become a stay-at-home mom. I have since volunteered many hours at the school and on many different organizations throughout the city of Westport. I have gained experience in serving on the city council for 8 years and attending workshops put on by the Arkansas Municipal League. I have learned a great deal about city government, how it works, and how to deal with problems. I believe with my leadership abilities and knowledge of the city, I can make it a place that citizens are proud to call their home. As my voting record on city council shows, I am very conservative. I don't like to waste the taxpayers' money. We need to grow as a city in ways to serve the most people. We need to increase our tax base by attracting new businesses. We need to promote what we already have. I want to be, keep going or no?
No, that's your,
Okay.
okay, Mike.
Good evening. Glad to be here tonight. I didn't know if I was going to make it, but I did. I had something settling the muscles in my neck, some kind of a bacterial infection, I guess. Anyway, I'm here. I might not be looking so well, but that's okay. Good crowd tonight. Glad to see that West Fork would come out like this, and especially to hear us give our speeches and tell you what we want to do for West Fork. Well, I was born on the Mississippi River, Hannibal, Missouri. If you don't know where that is, that's Mark Twain's hometown. And I lived there for about 4 years till asthma got the best of me, and my parents took me west to Arizona. And that's where I spent about the next, I guess, 30 years or so. Things are different there than they are in West Fork. I lived in a town of 12,000 people. That was a very small town in Arizona, but it's not a small town in Arkansas. And enjoyed living there, but became a police officer and served 20 years. 24 years, actually. Time gets away from you. Retired from that police department, and I promised my wife, and she's here tonight, and I appreciate them being here, that if she would stick with me for those 20-some years, when I retired, I moved to Arkansas, having never been here. That happened, and we did, and I've loved Arkansas ever since I've been here. We fit right into this community. I have 2 children. My wife, Linda, 46 years. I have 7 grandchildren, 2 of which just graduated from West Fork in the last couple of years. And I got to move on. So I'll just suffice it to say that my roots run deep. I've been here 25 years. Most places that's a long time, but I find out in Arkansas, not so long. I think I can lend something to this council. I'm a leader, I'm trustworthy, I'm honest. That's always been the theme of my police career. So I think I can be a mayor and lead this council. I'm looking forward to working with them and doing what it takes to make West Fork a better place. I think that's it.
Steve?
Steve Winkler. I'm an Archie. I was born in Central Arkansas, graduated from North Little Rock High School, went to some Arkansas schools, moved to Chicago, traveled around, and came back to this part of the world in early 70s. Lived around here. I was what they call back to the land hippie in those days. Had a business over on Centennial Avenue called Walker Trading Company, sold produce, wholesale and retail. And then wandered up to Fayetteville and made my home up there for about 35 years, and then came back here about 12 years ago to West Fork. During that 35 years, I kept up with really close friends in the West Fork area, and I kept up. I was able to see from 73, when I first came here in downtown West Fork, a hardware store, and Vitamin Grocery and McKnight, and garage there, and along Branch Cafe, all that kind of thing, a viable little town. Over the years, I watched it decline. And, you had Walmart, the big box stores coming in, you had the highway coming in, and it took a beating. All the little towns did. Some of them came back, and West Fork didn't. And now I agree with my colleague up here, it's a economically troubled area. I don't have deep roots here. I came here, I've invested my time, I've invested in businesses, and like many people, they chose to live here by choice. They didn't grow up here with family. But here I am, and I like it. How many, is it 20 minutes? Is that all my seconds?
That's 5 minutes.
Huh?
You got 5 minutes. Okay. The first question for Heath. What leadership qualities, education, and experience do you possess that will enable you to fulfill the duties of mayor? And how confident are you that you can meet the complex demands of the position?
This is a great question, and I think we need to start with what leadership is not. Leadership is not micromanagement. We need a mayor in the city of West Fork that recognizes we have extremely competent department heads as well as employees that we have here in the city. We're blessed with that. So we need a mayor that recognizes that and doesn't feel the need to get in the day-to-day decision making of our employees. Secondly, leadership is not my way or the highway. We need a mayor who recognizes, can't hear me? We need a mayor who recognizes a willingness to collaborate with our various community groups, our committees, our city council. And so So that's what leadership isn't. But what leadership is someone who will look toward the future, always looking toward the future, trying to develop a strategic plan to better position West Fork to be a viable community as we move into the future. Aside from that, we need a mayor who once we've collaborated and developed a plan, we need a mayor who will provide support to those department heads and that employees that the city has to provide the resources they need to achieve success. Education, I have a bachelor's degree in business administration, a master's degree in accounting. I'm a business owner. I specialize in tax accounting and business consultations. For business consulting, I partner with area organizations and companies. I go in and help them develop a strategic plan, help them put in processes, define and develop their processes and their structures for productivity and efficiencies. I'm going to bring those same qualities and skills to the office of mayor in West Fork. I want to use those skills to number one, bring this community together as we develop a plan for the future, and number two, set goals so that we can have achievements, so we have something to celebrate. We can celebrate our successes. We've seen tonight that even a meeting like this, we've brought news crews from 2 different stations down to interview West Forkians, if you will. We can do that with our successes in this town. We just need a plan. We need those goals in place so that as a community we can celebrate those successes. We can publicize West Fork. We can let people know we're on the map here. West Fork's starting to become that forgotten about city in South Washington County, and geographically we're the most beautiful city here. We need to promote that. We need to develop that.
Misty?
Hi, thank you. I have managed people in the past. I have the time, experience, and dedication to get the job done for the citizens of West Fork. I have worked in retail management in the past. I have experience with hiring, firing, and scheduling of job duties. I have 8 years of experience on the city council with perfect attendance. I have several hours of classes with the Arkansas Municipal League. These classes deal with problems that cities face every day. When a city has problems, the Municipal League is the first place to call. I have made several contacts that will be useful in making our city better. I believe I have what it takes to lead this city. I was the first person to announce that I was running for mayor. I was the first to file for the mayor position, and I was the first in sign location. They must have been good ones because others have followed. The city needs someone to lead by example with the dedication and knowledge to get the job done. If you can't make monthly meetings, how can you serve the people in a manner they deserve? If you can't make monthly meetings, how can you serve the people in the manner they deserve as a mayor to perform? I don't have a hidden agenda. I don't have work hours that someone has to work around my schedule. This is a full-time job with part-time pay. We have projects that need someone that is available. We need a mayor with the knowledge and passion for this city. The voters of West Fork deserve a mayor that will complete the term and be ready for the next term. We need someone who can complete projects and be proud of them, and I am that person.
Okay, thank you. Mike?
Thank you. Well, as I said before, leadership qualities, I think that obviously, I feel like I'm honest and truthful. I like to look forward. Change doesn't bother me as long as it's going in the right direction. I feel like I can lead people. As a matter of fact, I've gone to many schools and seminars, and went to one time, well, some years back, and we were all working together on different projects, and they were watching this, and the thing that came out was that I worked well with other people. That was my strong point. And you know, I've been proud of that ever since, because if you can't work well with people, you're not going to get anything done. So I I plan on bringing that kind of leadership. I don't have any access to grind. I made that very clear in council meetings. I think our departments do a good job. They're well-staffed, good employees, good department heads. We just need to improve on what we have. Why I want to run for mayor? Lived in this town 25 years. I've worked on 20 years as a police chief. I think that's the longest tenure in West Fork. I'm proud of that because that's day and night and weekends and sometimes more than once a night. It took a lot of fortitude. I stuck with it. And now I feel like, having served 4 years on the council, and that term's about to expire, that I possess the qualities that could lead this city and work on its economic development and those things that we need to do, support the things that we have. We have great facilities. People are proud of our facilities, and we just continue to improve them.
Thank you. Steve?
What's the question?
It's what leadership qualities, education, and experience do you possess
Okay.
that will enable you to fulfill the duties of mayor?
You know, the qualifications for mayor, as far as I know, is you have to be a registered voter. And I would add to that, I don't think there's any other qualifications. You're a registered voter, you can run for mayor. And I think all these other things are good, you know, like icing on the cake. But I think you need to be an honest person, and I think primarily you need to understand democracy. You need to understand that democracy matters for everybody, not the in crowd, not the people who have been here for 6 generations, not certain demographic groups. If you want to be a good mayor, you have to serve all of West Fork, all of West Fork. So, you know, this other stuff, education and things like that, that's okay too. And as far as that goes, I've got an education. You know, I went to college a few years and I got out of high school and I worked for a while. Then I went back to college when I was 40 years old, earned a BA and a master's in sociology at the university and graduated in 1999. I've was 15 years in the food service industry, and I was a real estate guy and a real estate agent and a property developer in Fayetteville. And then I was in academia for about 7 years. I taught at the university, at Northwest Community College, and at the Baptist School of Nursing. And then I got into publishing, opened up I started with a little thing called the West Fork Zephyr, a little blog, and then a partner and I, a West Fork resident, started the Washington County Observer, took over the name from the old paper, and published for a couple of years. That's where I learned a lot about West Fork. And then probably my proudest achievement is I was a stay-home husband for a few years while I was in college. You know, people up there talking about their corporate experience. How many of them have been a stay-home husband, you know, and raising the kids while my wife, Michelle, struggled out there in the real world. So, you know, I've got a background in, like I said, sociology. I always tell people, well, you know, one of the qualifications is to be able to read long, boring stuff. Well, you do that in sociology. And my business, I have had 3 businesses here in West Fork. I've got a new one, a little cafe up on the corner up there. And, you know, I've invested here, and I have made my home here. And I want to see West Fork be a better place.
Okay, Misty, we'll start the second round with you. What do you see as the biggest challenge facing West Fork, or the biggest challenges facing West Fork? And if elected, what would you do to address them?
We have big problems that need attention in a timely manner, not when a mayor can find time to get to them. We need a leader, not a follower, and not someone who stirs the pot. The citizens of West Fork deserve a mayor that will do their job and stay in office for their elected term, not months. I have the time, the experience, and the commitment to getting the job done for the right reasons. We need to get our water and sewer system problems solved. This will not happen overnight. We don't have an infrastructure to accommodate new businesses. You cannot attract new businesses if you don't have a place to put them. At the present time, we are limited on what we have to offer. We need to aggressively work on our weaknesses and build on our strengths. By improving Riverside Park, like adding real bathrooms, a volleyball net, horseshoe pits, more grills and picnic tables, the more people we have visiting, the more money is going to be spent in West Fork. We need to make some changes at Carter Park, like adding playground equipment and soccer fields. This would help serve a greater number of people and bring them into West Fork. Our ball fields need to be adequate to host tournaments. We could have different leagues renting our fields and it would create more revenue for our Parks Department and our city. Anything we can do to attract more people adds more revenue to our city. And we need to continue to keep our parks safe.
All right? Will you repeat the question?
Well, I think West Fork has some challenges ahead, but I don't think it's anything that we can address and take care of. I'd say 1 and 2 was, at one point, fresh water coming into West Fork. We used to treat our own, and that required a lot of work, a lot of effort, and it was difficult to do. Now, Federal supplies our water. It's treated when it comes in. It's ready to be used. The sewer system was one of the things that has held us back in the past, and we all know that. That is being worked on as we speak tonight. We heard in our last council meeting sometime around October of 2018 that should be done and ready to go into service. And when that happens, we'll be able to handle a lot more growth. You know, all this controversy was our sewer plant couldn't handle what we had, especially during storms. That's going to be taken care of. 2 big things. Secondly, we need some affordable housing here. We don't have a whole lot of it. That one subdivision that I think might have 10 homes left in it. Some land behind the school, Bilberry's land, has come for sale. If that were to be developed, that's probably maybe 20 or so houses. And those kinds of things will help us. But they have to be homes that average people can afford. And I think we'll work on that. I think our facilities, as far as our ball fields and our community center, anywhere you go, I've gone many places with my grandkids, and I'd put ours up against any of them our size. We can improve them, and we will improve them as we go forward. I think Chad's doing a great job of getting a lot of these projects done. We have big summer league teams, but we just need to keep our heads up and work toward the goal. You know, we have sales tax, we have millage, we have gasoline taxes, and we do as much with those things as we possibly can do. Now, if you're looking for some overnight, 500 employee company coming into West Fork, I don't think you're going to see that for a while. If we do see it, we have terrains to deal with and geography, but I'm not against that if it comes and it works for West Fork. We might be able to put something down in the industrial area where the train services. That would be a perfect place for a little heavier industrial. But those folks have to be willing. We have to be willing to work with them. Now, that's what I'd like to say on that.
Steve, biggest challenges?
The biggest challenge is, my academic training is in sociology. It's an academic discipline. I wasn't trained in a technical field or anything like that. I went into sociology because I like research and I like theory, and so I love to research everything. But I look at things as there's structure and there's culture in any organization. An organization has a structure. How do the parts come together? How do they fit? And then there's a culture. How do we understand what we're all talking about? What are our shared goals? What is our shared meaning on things? So looking at West Fork, and some of you aren't going to like I'm going to say this, but there's a question going around the county like, here it is. It's what's wrong with West Fork? Here's a town of 2,500 people, and it looks like it's got an economic base of about 500 people. I mean, there's no economy here. It looks sad, it's a beautiful place. It's beautiful, and it's located great. But there's something going on here, and there's something that has to do with the structure. We had a structure in this water commission that it was carried on way too long. The problems with that are now costing us, we've spent $700,000 in the last few months repairing the damage that was done by having that autonomous water commission. And it finally was gotten rid of by citizens. Well, actually it was the bond company. Then we got this cultural thing of trying to say, well, the most important people are the ones that have been here for 100 years and this kind of thing like that. Everybody in your organization, if you're in a business, church, whatever it is, you know who has the energy. The energy are the newcomers. They're the ones that come in and they've got the ideas and they've got the energy and they want to say, hey, let's get something done. And just because you've lived in a place for 4 generations or something like that does not mean you have contributed anything to it. You see what I'm saying? And West Fork has a culture of exclusion. Now, here's an example. Right now on the city council, there are 2 people sitting on the city council who were defeated in elections to the city council. You mean in a town of 2,500 you couldn't come up with a new face? These people were defeated. One of them was an incumbent, was defeated, and now he's been appointed back on the council. It's a closed group up there. And I'll tell you, when I ran for mayor before, against the previous mayor, Michelle and I talked to we knocked on 180 doors, talking to them, hey, introduced ourselves. It was like they were reading a script. They'd say, you think you're going to do something in West Fork City Hall? Look, they'd say, I lived here 30 years and they're not going to let you in the door down there. They're not going to let anything happen. They got a group. You can call it a good old boys group. You can call it a cabal. You can call it a clique. You can call it. And they're excluding new ideas and new energy in West Fork. That's the challenge, to open West Fork up to the future.
So West Fork does have some big challenges, but challenges are opportunities, and that's how we need to see our challenges in West Fork. We do have our sewer project. It's a large project. It's going to be full of challenges, but it's a good project. It's bringing new life to West Fork. It's investment in our future. I'm going to go back to my mantra, though. Our largest problem is economic stagnation in West Fork. Guys, I feel this in my heart. And I want you to know that I never want West Fork to turn into a Fayetteville, okay? I love our small town feel. That's great. We can keep that with planned and smart strategic growth. But in order for us to remain viable, we have to have that growth if we're going to move on into the future. Now, I don't think our town is in such bleak shape as what Steve has described it, but we do need to be focused on where are we going in the future and how are we going to get there. So some of my leadership qualities, some of my contacts, I understand what investors are looking for when they look at a small town and they want to determine if they want to come and develop in that area, invest in that area. So a couple of things they look for is population. West Fork doesn't have a huge population. We don't have a lot of population growth. So that's an opportunity for us, right? They also look at traffic counts. And currently, our city administration has no idea how many people are coming through our city on a daily basis. Each summer, we have an influx of traffic into the city. We need to count on that. Okay, we need to know how many people are coming into the city from outside, so that we have that data available if someone does decide to invest in our town. And third, they look at a school system. A lot of investors, before they invest in the town, they want to see a school system that has a strong academic core to it. That's something West Fork, now that's not necessarily a city council issue, but it is something that we can work with the school district, with the school board and the superintendent. This is a two-way street. We're married to the school just like the school's married to us. So as the city suffers from stagnation, the school does as well, and vice versa. As I mentioned earlier, we had the local news here tonight. That's great. West Fork's going to be on the map for something good. We need to continue that. We need to promote West Fork. Now, it discourages me to hear some of the other mayoral candidates talk about we can't accept growth. We don't have an infrastructure for growth. I think all of us remember about 10 years ago, the mayor of Greenland put an ad in the paper that said the moratorium on all building. Now that ad made the front page news, okay? There hasn't been another building built in Greenland since, because once they lifted the moratorium, No one saw it. It was on page 10, buried in the back. So as a leader of the city, we need to be careful how we speak. We want to encourage smart growth in the city, not discourage investors from looking at our town.
Okay, Mike, you'll start the next question. What are your views regarding economic development in West Fork? And how would you balance the needs of the city with the current two major sources of revenue being sales taxes and millage?
Okay, thank you. I think I've stated some of my beliefs. I agree that we need economic growth. It's always important for any city to be building, not to be taking away. Now, what kind of growth that's going to be, we're going to have to work on that, and we're going to have to get some people involved and see what directions we want to go. But I think back real quickly, we have problems here that surface, and it's not because we don't want the business, it's because maybe they didn't do well enough to stay in business. I'm thinking of a garage here in town. We had a garage that could service cars, supply tires, lube your car. It always seemed to be busy when I was there, but for whatever reasons, that business closed. Now we go to what? Now we go to Federal to take care of that. We need things like, we need a garage. We need, I think the only thing we don't need is a restaurant. We're pretty well covered in those. We've got 4 or 5 of them. But I'm all for that, but I've talked to Steve, and Steve and I have gone over, we've had several rounds, you know. If you're looking for this to be federal, it's not going to be. And I don't know that the folks in West Fork moved out here for that reason. You know, we have a good community. We have a quality community. If you think about what you're hearing tonight, it's like, oh, woe is us. I've been on this council for a long time, and prior to that on the police department making budgets. We have not had problems making our budgets. We've had enough money to get good equipment, good material. We could do better, absolutely. I sat down at a ball game one night, and I thought it was interesting. They didn't know I was even on the council. These 2 ladies were sitting there talking, and one of them looked at them and said, you know, our West Fork Council's against growth. Don't want any growth. I never introduced myself. I never said anything to them, but I got to thinking. We haven't denied one business the opportunity to come into West Fork since I've been involved. I don't know of anybody that would say we don't want business. Now, I know about them on the deal in Greenland. It was a bad situation there. We want growth. I want growth. And I think we'll take what we can get, but we're not the highlight in the Northwest Arkansas district and area for that kind of growth. And someday maybe we can. I hope so.
Number 3.
We did challenges, didn't
No, it's number 4.
Number 4,
What are your views regarding
we? Economic development, well, I'll agree with my,
And how would you balance the needs with revenues being only sales tax
Oh.
and millage?
that's number 4.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I'm a growth candidate also. I'm nice to meet my opponent here to my left, too. I've been in West Fork for all these years, and in meetings and meetings and meetings, and involved in all kinds of civic activity, and I think we've maybe met once.
A couple times.
Yeah, so it's nice to talk about economic growth and things like that, and I've developed a couple of businesses here. I've sold property here. I've owned property. I've developed property. I have businesses. So, I mean, I don't want to say, you know, put my money where my mouth is, but I'm a believer in economic growth by my business investments. So, we have to have economic growth here. At one time they thought parks were going to save us, and they did. They put in some nice parks, and that's one of the highlights of West Fork for sure. But they did it at the expense, it seems like, I don't know why, it was something popular at the time in the 70s, 80s, that business was a bad thing or something like that. Well, they did create a climate here where, you know, there's not a pamphlet. You can't go up to City Hall and get a pamphlet that tells you all about West Fork and how nice it is and how wonderful it is. They don't promote the town. They don't recruit businesses here. They don't. And, you know, that's just a fact. So, you know, they can talk all they want about, oh, we remember paying discouraged businesses or something. Well, they sure haven't encouraged them, I'll tell you that. And there's things they can do. They can be recruit. You have to recruit. You have to go out and get these people. They're not going to just come to you, these little small businesses and manufacturing places and retailers and small manufacturers. They're not going to just say, oh, well, here's a good place. You know, we had to fight to get a website. And the point was that you could, if you were thinking of moving to Northwest Arkansas, and you wanted to look and see, let's see, where's Gentry out here, and Gravett, and okay, let's look at these little towns. Westport didn't have a website. You couldn't even find it, you know, on the internet. And we had to fight. It took 2 votes, and it was contentious, and there were people that didn't want to have a website because then people might find us here. There's a fantasy here that they're living, that there's some kind of a, I call it the Mayberry fantasy, that somehow we're all going to go whistling down to the river and everything's really wonderful here. But, you know, that's a fantasy. And remember Mayberry, you know, the only one that was married was the town drunk. But anyway, you know, it's not Mayberry here. It's not. Those days are the nostalgia for all that. You're in Northwest Arkansas, one of the growing, most popular places in the country. And you need to decide whether you're going to be part of it or not.
Economic development and our 2 revenue streams. We're much like every other town in Northwest Arkansas, maybe even the nation. Our primary resource, our primary revenues come from property tax and sales tax. That's something we need to recognize. The city has recently held a special election in an election year to pass a tax, a new sales tax. I think that's a reactionary leadership style. Personally, I would rather develop a strategic plan to invite that investment in those businesses into our city. By doing that, we don't need to raise the tax rate by increasing the amount of businesses we have, by increasing the amount of homes we have. Our current tax rates will increase our revenues by just the process of bringing in that new business, by giving the West Fork shopper an extra place to go buy a service. Now, when we raise a sales tax in West Fork, we put our businesses at an even greater disadvantage. West Fork businesses, Steve's, for example, he's competing with somebody driving to Fayetteville to a coffee shop, okay? And he already needs to raise his rates a little bit more than that Fayetteville shop because of the transportation cost to get here. Now, when the city goes and adds an extra sales tax to it, it makes it even less competitive. It makes our citizens less inclined to shop local when they can drive a few minutes to town. They're probably going anyway, and they can get a quality product for the same or cheaper price. So we really need, as a city leader, we really need to be aware of these things. We don't want to put ourselves in a less competitive environment because of that. Now, as far as West Fork, we've had many descriptions of it. I'd like to describe it as the most beautiful, geographically beautiful city in Washington County. We're surrounded by hills on our east and our west. We're situated in a little valley. We have a river running through it, beautiful bluffs. Guys, we need to promote that. We are the most geographically beautiful city in Northwest Arkansas. But if we look at Farmington, Elkins, geographically, they're ugly. Okay, I don't mean to make it, cause offense to anyone that's from those cities. But geographically they are. They're flat. They don't have any of the unique features that we have in West Fork, yet their businesses are thriving. Investment is moving into those towns. Now we can debate, is that the kind of growth we want? Maybe, maybe not. That's something we need to collaborate together as a city, as a committee, a city council. We need to decide what that growth is before we just open the doors to investors. But we have a lot of attractions here at the city of West Fork that we need to not only recognize, but we need to promote. I left off the fact we even have a historic square. Farmington and Elkins, they're over there ugly. That's all there is to it. But if Steve mentioned having a business here in West Fork, I want everyone to know I'm a business owner as well. I have a business located in Farmington. That's not by choice. That's because there's nowhere to rent West Fork. Okay, so that's something we need to be aware of. There's a lot of people want to open a business in West Fork, possibly, but tell me where the retail space is that makes that available to us. That's a church on some of it.
Yes, Steve, you need a question.
Well, they do that.
When we get our water and sewer problems solved, the chance of getting more tax base improves greatly. If we can't give all the services we need, why would new businesses come to West Fork? We need to advertise our assets over Facebook, our city webpage, and Twitter. Not everyone drives here. If more people knew what was going on, maybe more would want to be involved. Things like our library tax will help us make West Fork a better place to live. People will come from outside of the city to use the library, and will be spending money in West Fork to do so. Whether they have lunch, fill up their gas, or buy groceries, they are adding tax dollars to our city. We use Carter Park for a limited time for baseball. Other than that, it sits idle for the rest of the year. There is no reason not to attract adult leagues of softball that would build revenue. Adding soccer fields would attract more people. Horseshoe pits of the quality to host tournaments would draw people to our city. If 6,000 people came to Pea Ridge to watch mules jump, surely we can come up with new ideas to draw people to the city of West Fork. All taxes and millage goes to allotted departments and categories. If it was a perfect world, this would be simple. The problem is when the air conditioner goes out, when the transmission goes out on one of our city service trucks, or we have a flood. It is just like your home. When you have a big vacation planned and the motor blows in your car, you have to fix the car first. You have to take care of the everyday needs of the citizens before you can add new things like sidewalks and other improvements you had planned. Thank you.
And Steve, you'll start this one off. If elected, how would you propose the mayor work together with staff and council members to solve the issues facing our community? Give an example in which you have worked collaboratively with others to accomplish your goals.
Well, working together, I'm a critic of the West Fork City Council. I think they come to meetings ill-prepared. I think they're, I would try to get them some little stipend to get paid. You know, that West Fork City Council is the only one in the county that doesn't get a little $50 or something for coming to a meeting. They don't get any reimbursement. They look at themselves as volunteers, and I think that's, they think, well, I'm volunteer, so I don't expect much. You don't be a volunteer, go over to the recycle center, but they're public servants. They take an oath, and they should take it a little more seriously. They just bought a building over here, the old Argus building. They were so proud of that. They got a sweetheart deal on it. And I challenged them. There's 8 of them, and none of them knew who the seller was. They didn't know who they bought the building from. No appraisals. And they come, some of them are coming in there ill-prepared. They've never looked at the packet. There's some that do. There are some that do. But most of them are in there. I don't know why they're there. So, working with them means if I'm mayor, it doesn't mean I'm going to come down to their situation. The thing is, it's not whether you're working with this council or with the mayor. It's just you're working for all the people of West Fork. That's who you need to be working for. And I think I can egg them along enough and by controlling those meetings and get them to do their homework and get them to come into those meetings prepared and to get to taking seriously what's going on in West Fork and try to solve these problems. Like I say, I think it should be open discussions, open debates. That's what drives the civilized world is debate and argument. And present it out in a reasonable manner. You look at it, you take the pros and the cons, and you vote, you don't move forward. But the idea that they have in there is there's some sort of group think thing going on, and they say, well, we all have to agree on everything before we move forward. It's like they're afraid of any kind of, stepping out of the box or, someone taking another position. There's some organizations want you to take another position and say, let's just hear the other side, let's hear the choices. But they seem to get caught up in all that, we all must present this united front, and they're not getting anything accomplished up there. And as I said, they're hurting the future of West Fork. And so as collaborative, here's what I've done. I'm pretty proud of. I worked with a group called the Citizens for Accountability. We passed a referendum. We got to dissolve the Water Commission. I worked with with other people to get the videos of the city council meetings videotaped. I worked with the Friends of the Library to get Library Hall up and running.
Now I'm working with a group, an Army group, to develop the garden, cooperative gardens over in, at the recycle area over there. So I'm working collectively, collaboratively with people to get something done. And that's what I'll keep doing. And over here at my table, after it's over, you can see a list of the things with the why not. With the why nots of why can't things that we can't accomplish in Westport if we put our mind to it.
Okay, Heath?
So, as mayor, how will I work with the staff and the city council? Collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. I believe that maybe there's not a qualification that you need to become mayor of Westport, but I think maybe there should be. Number one, you should come in professional. You should act like a mature adult. I'm not running for mayor so that I can say this is my idea. Okay, I want to find the best idea, and the way we do that is we collaborate with the council, with the staff, with the department heads, the various community groups. So we come in, we sit down, we talk about, we brainstorm, and then when we come up with the best idea, we agree on it on its merit, not because of who laid the idea out there. So I think that's an important thing, how we come in and work with the council or even the community. We need to collaborate with them. Let them know that their ideas count, that they matter, that we want to hear it, and then in the end, though, we're going to decide on what is the best idea. We're going to come together as a group, and we're going to fully support that best idea. Another way I'm going to work with council and staff. Number one, I want to recognize our department heads and our city employees. I want them to know that they have support from the office of the mayor. I want them to feel encouraged to come to work for the city of Westport. The city of Westport's a great employer. So collaboration is key to me being in the office of mayor. I want you to know that. Now, I do think that sometimes unintentionally we do create a perception of a closed door group with our city council, our city administration. Again, through collaboration we can end that. Once we start to have those discussions with anyone who wants to talk to the city, we have a discussion with them. And that shows them that, hey, this isn't a closed group. You might have that perception, but we're not. We welcome you in. I hope someday that we have, through collaboration and buy-in to the city, I hope someday we can move our city council meetings to the community center. I hope we have too many people showing up to those meetings for that small room to hold them. And already it's sometimes a problem. So I want the city of Westport to be involved in where we're going. I want the city of Westport to be involved in creating that strategic plan for growth, for our future. So the way I think you do that is you communicate. Communicate in every way you can, and you encourage people to offer up their ideas. When they do offer their ideas, you provide encouragement back. You may not use their idea. We're going to go with the best idea for the city of Westport. But you encourage that open dialogue between city leaders and the community.
Question 5.
I would certainly work.
Sorry.
Okay.
A lot of times, the council is not aware that there is a problem until they get to the city council meeting. There is no time to talk to the public to get their input. The mayor and the council need to remember that they are elected by the voters and need to make their wants and needs top priority. The voters deserve a mayor that is available to discuss their wants and needs. A lot of the problems we have can be solved with a common sense answer. We don't need to put off answers until the next city council meeting. The citizens of this community deserve better service from the people that have elected them. Department heads need to be held accountable. In the past, we have had as much as 45% of our water loss. Things like this need to be addressed in a timely manner, not years later. Department heads need to feel comfortable enough with a mayor to discuss problems that they have when they have them and not at city council meetings with the monthly reports. Problems do not go away, they just usually get bigger. As your mayor, I will have an open door policy. When someone has a problem, it needs to be addressed in a timely manner. In the past, we have had problems that have been dealt with in monthly meetings at city council, on monthly reports at city council meetings. Waiting around for a mayor to be available is not going to be the right thing for the taxpayers. The public should have access to express their wants and needs. If someone has a problem, it needs to be addressed in a timely manner and not on the public forum at a city council meeting. As my voting record will show, I am very conservative. I have worked with others on a budget of the city. A lot of times we have different ideas that all have to come together for a budget that will be the best for the citizens of West Fork. I have been the budget chairman in the past, so I am familiar with the process. Thank you.
Okay, Mike.
If I were elected mayor, I plan on working closely with the city council, and that means hands-on. That means let's work together and let's make some decisions that we can all agree to that are best for the city. I've served the last 4 years on the city council, and this is nothing at a mayor. Mayors are busy. They tend to try to make decisions as quickly as they can and go on to the next situation. I have oftentimes, as Misty said, come into a council meeting and see something on the agenda that we've never discussed before. And maybe they want for us to make an opinion or a decision. I don't plan on doing that. We're going to address things. We're going to talk about things. Transparency, I know that word is used over and over and over. But there needs to be transparency. I would have an open door, no question about it. You people, the people that vote me into office, have a right to come visit with me. And I would be there for that. I think employees, and they have that same right after they follow their chains of commands. If department heads can't work the problem out, we'll work it out together. Very strong, hands-on, work with everybody. I know as a councilman, I haven't felt like, what do I really do there? I go there and I vote yes or no on something, and that's really about all. I might get into a conversation, you might not. So, very important. We need to work on that. We can do better. I've worked with, over my 20 years as a police officer, we've done budgets with the city council, with the mayor. You always have to give, you always have to take. Not easy, but that's part of working together to get to the desired end. I mean, we all want as much money as we can have. We know that's not possible. So you have to work together. I've done that. Real quickly, one other thing. Some 4 years ago, I had mentioned a deal where maybe we could join with Greenland, and I can't go into detail, but maybe we would supply an officer between us that might work a graveyard shift, that's a midnight shift. We could have 24-hour protection, only paying for $1/2 million. You think 2 jurisdictions? Our 2 jurisdictions is less than probably a third of what Washington County deputy takes care of. Lo and behold, our chief has taken that forward, and it might come to fruition this budget year. So we may have some 24-hour coverage. And I think back, maybe at least I planted some seed there. We worked with the Attorney General, me and Greenland Police Chief, and got that all approved. It just never happened, but could well happen this year. I think it would be a great deal. That's working together, an example.
Okay, Heath, you're starting it over again. Last question. Okay, Heath, you're starting it over again. Last question. As mayor, what communication methods would you adopt, and how would you create and maintain a sense of pride in West Fork as a community?
So when we think about communication methods, I think naturally a lot of us in the room automatically think of social media. And that's a great format for communication. It provides several outlets to reach people, but we also have to realize that there's advantages and disadvantages to each format of communication. So social media, for example, it's great for reaching maybe a younger demographic, 55 and less, but there's still a viable reason to use print media to reach those older demographics. I know my grandma doesn't miss a day without reading every page of the newspaper. So it's a great way to stay in contact with our older generation. So when we talk about communication, the city needs to adopt every communication format available to them. That's the website, social media, print media, our marquee. We send out a water bill every month. That's a great way. We know the water bill gets read, right? Somebody in that house looks at the water bill every month. So that's a great piece of communication, a great communication tool that we can use to promote our message to the city of West Fork and keep them involved. So I'm open to all forms of communication. I want to reach the public. I want transparency. I want them to know what's going on in the city of West Fork. Now, a sense of community pride, that's extremely important. I've talked about collaborating and laying out a strategic plan, setting goals to achieve that plan. And I feel that's where a sense of pride comes from. Pride comes from accomplishment, from successes, okay? As a city, we oftentimes fall prey to, maybe Chad has a project he's doing at the park, but the rest of the city has no idea about it. Chad gets the project finished and it's a great work, but we don't champion that success. So part of creating pride is, number one, involving people in the planning process, making them aware of what our goals are. We need to make those goals attainable. And once we attain those goals, once we achieve success, we need to promote that throughout the city. Again, I'm still excited. We have 2 news crews here. What if we called and said, hey, Chad just completed a great parks project? Would they come and put it on video? We don't know until we try. So to me, that's where pride comes from. It comes from accomplishments. But if our city doesn't recognize the accomplishments, how can they take pride in them? Okay, so that's something we need to work on as a city. I'd also like to just step back for a minute and point out, we're talking about working with the city council. I missed a note there. I just want to make a point that strategic planning can be an agenda item. We don't have to have a special meeting. If we have a short agenda one night, what if we threw a little strategic planning there on the end, and as a council and the citizens that are in attendance, what if we just threw out some ideas and talked about that? There's not a rule against that, so keep that in mind.
Yes, Steve?
If you can't attend one monthly meeting a month on a regular basis, how can you represent the voters on a daily basis? This is a full-time job with part-time pay. I believe I am the only candidate with the time and the commitment to get the job done. We need to take a step forward and not a step back. We need to make people proud to live in our city. Part of the biggest challenges is making people want to live in West Fork. We have to have something to offer everyone. A new library to serve more people of all ages. More trails, more places to picnic, play volleyball. Not everyone plays baseball. We need to spend money where the most voters will get the most out of it. We need to advertise what we have to offer. We need to use our city website, our Facebook page, Twitter. Anything we can use to make people want to visit our city and want to live here. Our 4th of July event is one to be very proud of. People invite others to come to watch. Everyone will tell you West Fork has the best show around. The Easter egg hunt is another way to attract people. We have a great parks and recreation department. If we can help them expand, we can expand our park system to handle different sports that attract more people. We will, at some time in the near future, be tied to the trail system. We need to think ahead and capitalize on this. According to the Arkansas Transportation Department, the traffic counts show that we have 5,600 cars a day traveling on Highway 71 north of town. We have 22,000 that are on Interstate 49 daily. We need to draw these people into our tax base. And by the way, I heard the garage is opening up. In closing, I would like to thank God for giving me this opportunity. My soulmate, my two perfect kids, my mom and my nephew Jacob, my whole family and friends, and everyone who votes for me. And as your mayor, I will not let you down, I promise. Please, on your way out, please visit my table and take some candy and bottled water home to eat and enjoy on your way home. And please, have a great night and please be safe. Thank you for this opportunity.
Communication has been my forte since I've been in West Fork. You know, I came down here and I was a real estate salesman over at Newland, and the market was drying up, and I had a lot of time on my hands, and I began to, you know, and I gave the real estate people get out and know a lot of people. And I realized I couldn't tell you I didn't know who the mayor was. I didn't tell you any city council members were. I didn't know where any meetings were. I didn't know anything. So I said, well, I'll learn how to do a little blog here, and put up the thing, the West Fork Zephyr, and started going to meetings and writing about them and informing people. At the beginning, I went out and took pictures of bulletin boards around town and would post those so people would see where the events were. There was nothing to bring West Fork people together in any way. So that moved on. Of course, we had the Washington County Observer. We were hiring professional sports writers. We had professional reporters, professional photographers, had interns from the University of Arkansas. We weren't really very well accepted in the West Fork government. And in fact, they voted not to do business with us. But because they didn't like the idea of poking around and having these reporters and stuff and publishing things about West Fork. They were very closed community. So the communication thing has been important to me. I filed 2 or 3, I think, Freedom of Information violations against city employees, and they were upheld by the county prosecutor. These people up there were hiding information from the public. And so I'm passionate about having people know what's going on in their government. You can't have a democracy if you don't have that. And I'll tell you, one of the nice communication things that's going on in the area is over in Prairie Grove. They have a e-newsletter. You can click on it on their website, but you can also get it in the email. And it is a nice little publication with pictures, what's going on in the city, progress updates. It's done on Microsoft Publisher. There's no reason why they can't do this up here. And it's sent out, and everybody feels like they're part of the city, knows what's going on, and that there's no secrets, and there's no, that they're part of the city, being part of a community. And West Fork is kind of lacking in development of community. You hear people talk about, we need a community here. And we're a town. Some people say we're a town without a community, and Winslow's the community without a town. Because, they're doing things down there. We had this, here's an example, we had this, Christmas lights contest. It just ended. That was a nice little thing. And why can't they have more than one festival? Why can't we have do things to generate camaraderie and town things? We just don't. We're not doing that, and there's no reason why we can't. In other words, why not?
Okay, I skipped over Mike. Do you want to respond to this question? Yeah.
Always good to be the last speaker. Communication, obviously, you've heard the challenges. It's very tough in West Fork. How do you get the word out? We have a few ways. We have the water stuff, some of those kinds of things. We certainly have social media, which sometimes is good and sometimes not so good. It's not always the most accurate way. But we have to continue working on that until we get a newspaper or an e-letter. Is that right, Steve? We're going to have to do some things along that line because it is hard to communicate. I still think we have pride in West Fork. We have a lot of pride in this community. You had it when I came 25 years ago, and there's still pride. Or you wouldn't be living here because no one has to live in a place they don't want to live. We have done a lot of things to create that pride, and we can do a lot more to keep it and work on it, work hard on it. not all is doom. I don't think that. I think we're on the right tracks. Yeah, sometimes we don't get things done in a very timely manner, but that's government. Sometimes it just takes a while. You need somebody that'll stay with it, stick with it, and I'm the person that's willing to learn. I don't know all the answers. I've always thought what I always wanted to do as a supervisor, I surrounded myself with the best people available, because I'm not afraid to let them take some credit. I want to get the job done, get it done right. One more thing, I just want to bring this up. I had a situation in a meeting a couple months ago, and things got heated as they do occasionally, and I probably said a few things that wasn't the best thing to say. The next day, I got taken to task by a lady that's here, and I mean, she took me to task. Told me that I needed to act better if I thought I could be mayor. I thought a lot about that. She's right. I took that criticism, and I didn't wear it on my shoulder, but I had every intention of being the leader that a mayor needs to be. I support all our workers, our staff. I support you, city, and I will work. I guarantee you, unless I've got a sickness that won't allow me to, I will serve my term on this council, and I will not resign unless there is a situation way beyond what I suspect. But thank you, and I hope that you can vote for me.
Thanks for coming, and I hope you found it interesting and useful, and will help you on November 8th.